Assalamu alaikum, people. I'm running a little late today. I'm like 5 minutes late. Forgive me. We are doing a Q&A today. I'm just getting my Insta people on here. Let me. And we're going to get started. If you have any questions, you can actually ask me. You can also request. I'm going to try this today. Request to join me on video. You will have 60 seconds at max to ask a question. Please keep it to the topic of health, physical, mental, or spiritual health. Tell me where you are joining me from. You know, I love knowing where everyone is watching from. Okay. Alrighty. I have okay. I got my. Oh, I look real tired today. I look mad tired because I have been off my sleeping pattern. I normally go to bed at 10 o'clock, but I have not been going to bed at 10 o'clock because having to do so much stuff and my whole sleeping schedule is all thrown off. And so that is why I look so tired today. Where are you joining in from? Hello, Ashma. Haja. Wa alaikum salam. I need to move my Insta people over here. Washma is joining us from Pakistan. Karima is in Stockholm right now. Wa alaikum salam. Where are you guys? Let me know where you are joining from, and we are going to get started in a minute. I'm trying to see if my Insta people, are my Insta people live yet? Darn it. Okay, I gotta fix my Instagram. Give me one. Wa alaikum salam, Zabida from Seattle. Marian from Philly. Hey, Philly, that's a hop, skip, and a jump across the pond. It is a hop, skip, and a jump. I want to create a live. That's what I'm trying to do on Instagram. Sweden is very cold right now. You see me in my sweater? Connecticut is very cold right now too. It's supposed to snow today and tomorrow. Snow is not my favorite thing. Even when my kids were younger and I would be almost, as a parent, you're almost obligated to go take them outside. I was so happy when the oldest was responsible and old enough to escort everyone across the street to slide down the hill, because snow has never been my thing. I've gone sledding. I've gone cross-country skiing. So, of course, this is me on my little rant, right? But a few years ago, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago, I decided that since I live someplace where there are 4 seasons and we get lots of snow, or not lots of snow, but we get snow and we get cold weather for, I don't know, it's cold here from, I would say, December until maybe the beginning of March. Sometimes it goes into March. I was like, since this is like the part of the year that I really don't like, I try to put something in it that I like. And so I learned how to cross-country ski and to try to force myself to enjoy winters. Needless to say, it did not work. Maybe part of the reason that it didn't work is because I have to go so far just to ski. So I actually don't do it every winter. I'm like, all right, so today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to try a live Q&A. And if you would like to ask me a question, You can ask me a question. If you would like to come on live and ask me a question, if you want to turn your video on, I'm going to try that, but I have to put rules around it. You have 60 seconds to ask a question about physical, mental, or spiritual health. But please don't go off on something else. Okay. All right. So you can, let me just get Instagram on. I'm having an issue with my Instagram. Okay. I have and Clubhouse for anybody. I can't tell if people are tuned into Clubhouse right now because I'm simulcasting. And so if my Clubhouse people want a question, you have to go and catch me on Instagram or Facebook. My Instagram is attached to my bio. If you are on Clubhouse, go join me. Karima said, come to Africa. I'm going there about 2 months. I wish, bruh, and it depends on what part of Africa, because some of Africa is having a hard time with coronavirus. So I'm not leaving coronavirus to go to coronavirus. I gotta be honest with you. I need to go someplace where there's very little coronavirus and there's no mutations of coronavirus. That's my goal. I would love to go to Africa. I really would. I would love to go a lot of places, but the way coronavirus is set up, you know. Kenya, I have a Facebook friend who is in Kenya, and it don't look like coronavirus is in Kenya at all. She is just living her best life. Oh my gosh, maybe I will go to Kenya. For real, I need to go someplace where I could just go to the store and I can go on a bike trip and I can do all kind of activities without worrying about coronavirus. This is really getting... May Allah protect you. You work every day with coronavirus. May Allah protect you. Wasiya, hello from India. So today is a live Q&A. If you have any questions, remember the last few days. So here's a reminder, maybe to jog your memory, because I didn't get to a lot of questions over the last couple of days, or last couple of weeks. Last week, we talked about a ketogenic diet. The week before, we talked about intermittent fasting. Yesterday, we talked about stress. And so if you have any questions related to those or any other health and fitness and questions about physical, mental, or spiritual well-being, you can ask me. I will answer. I do remember a question that I didn't get to is someone asked me, what is the multivitamin that I would recommend? So if you look back in the week that we talked about a ketogenic diet, I actually showed everything that I eat, all of the vitamins that I take. That is inside of that video. I am not married to one vitamin or another. My only requirement in recommending a multivitamin is that it is a food-based multivitamin. What does that mean? Food-based multivitamins are multivitamins or any vitamin that is derived from food sources and not just made inside of a lab. And you will know that because when you look on the back of the vitamins, in addition to it saying all of the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients that it has, it will also tell you dehydrated carrots, dehydrated broccoli. It would actually list foods in which the vitamins were derived. So the brand that I personally use is called Alive, but again, I am not married to that brand. It's just what I use because it's what's available in my area and in my local health food store and vitamin shop. So just look at the back. Always read the back of the ingredients. Tamkeen. All right. So she says, I was asked by my doctor to modify my keto diet because my alt is high. I don't know what an alt is. What am I doing wrong? I don't know what an alt is. I need you to rephrase that. Hanan says, can you tell me about the ambassador program? If you are inside of the tribe, then you got an email last night. Check your email. There's more about it. The ambassador program is exclusively for MR40 method members. So I'm not going to talk on this particular live about it. But look forward to a live from our Lieutenant Sakina this weekend inside of the group. All right. Karima said, how you behave, wash your hands, social distance, exercise outdoors, especially walking is good for your body and long exercise. Yes, you are right. All of that is correct. That is the way that I have been trying to stay consistently corona-free. I've been trying, right? The problem with coronavirus is that you have to make sure that everybody you're around is also doing all of those things, because you're going to be really good at all of those things, and then you live with somebody who's not, and then boom, you have coronavirus, as so happens with several people in my family. But all right, wa alaikum salam, Kamir. Alt, you said, okay, your alt is your liver enzymes. I don't know what you're doing wrong. I could not answer that question. So Tamkeen said, I was asked by my doctor to modify my keto diet because my, I guess, alt is your liver enzymes is high. What am I doing wrong? I do not know, because in order to know that, I would have to know what you're eating, how you're exercising. So I cannot answer that question for you because I don't know enough about you. If you are just joining me and you do not know who I am, you're just like, okay, there's a live. I'm not doing nothing. Let me go watch Mubarakah. My name is Mubarakah Ibrahim, and I am a health and happiness coach. And you are on the Fit Muslimah profile, where we talk about food, faith, and fitness. And if you believe that spiritual, mental, and physical well-being is intertwined, and the weakness of one weakens them all, and the strengthening of one strengthens them all, then you have found your tribe, my dear. That is us. It is we. We are the Fit Muslimah tribe. So I want to thank you for taking some time, and this tribe extends beyond just Muslim women. I have to also point that out. We are happy to take and to converse with anyone who believes that physical, mental, and spiritual well-being is intertwined. So we are talking today about stress, since nobody got no questions. Since no one has questions, we are going to talk a little bit about stress and how it affects the body and what we can do about it. So yesterday we talked a little bit about the physiological response of stress and what happens to our body when we are in a stress response, and how that's not necessarily a bad thing, because it is a survival mechanism that is built into us as human beings. But the problem, like with many things, like with food, a little bit is really good, very nutritious, helps you live. A whole lot of it can kill you. Same thing with stress. Okay? A little bit good, a lot is not. Chronic stress is the problem, not stress. So that's really important. So I did a talk a couple of weeks ago, and someone asked what I thought was a really good question. And they asked, what is good stress and bad stress? Is there really anything, is there really something that's called good stress? Yes, there is good stress. Good stress is when you are doing something that may create a stress response, but your stress response is actually, one, the result of it gives you a feeling of pleasure. That's number one. And number two, it is short-lived. Remember how I just said, like, that having stress is normal and it's okay and it actually helps us, but having too much of it is what is a bad thing. So good stress is, hey, you know what? I have a project due for work. I'm rushing. It has to be due by tomorrow. So I'm really stressed today, but then the stress is good. I'll give you a really good example. So the other day, I gave my son a surprise party. By the way, I am not doing a surprise party again. It was so stressful. Oh my gosh. It was good stress. But it was stressful. I did not know giving a surprise party could be so stressful. I don't think I can get nobody a surprise party again. Let me just tell you that you're going to have a party. Don't show up to 6. I don't have to trick you to stay outside or to not come over the house. Like, that was good stress. So that is a great example of what is good stress. For about 2 hours, we were like, oh my God. So he was supposed to come over to the house at 6 o'clock. He lives a few blocks down from me. His wife texts me at like 5:30 and they're like, we're walking down the street. I couldn't hold him off any longer. I'm like, no, he cannot come. We are not ready. He can't come in this door until 6 o'clock. She's like, but I don't know how to keep him out. I can't stop him. We're a block away. So we made up all kind of excuses. I told him that he couldn't come in the door because we were doing a special cleaning thing. We threw the keys out the window because he wanted to borrow the car. So I let him borrow the car. Oh my gosh. And then we could not find the HDMI cord, and we had all of our friends and family on a Zoom. So the Zoom had to go on the big TV. So when he walked in, it's like everybody was there. We made up all kind of excuses. My husband, before he walked in the house, my husband was like, oh, you know what? He passed me the HDMI cord so I can go and hook the computer up to the TV real quick. And he's like, can you go park the cars for us? So he gives him both of our car keys so that he can pull the cars from the sidewalk into the driveway, which would delay him at least 3 minutes and give me time to hook up the HDMI cord. Bruh, that was good stress, but it was stress. Okay, it wasn't as easy as it looked. So that is an example of good stress. The outcome is something that gives you satisfaction. The entire stress response is there, but it is for a short time. And then after it, your body comes down and it relaxes, right? So that is an example of good stress. Having chronic stress is where the problem lies, when you are stressed on a daily basis, in and out. Some of the ways that we talked about, one of the ways we talked about yesterday was, one, identify what stresses you, right? Because you can verbally say, I don't care, but your body will actually speak for you. And we talked about identifying the things that happens to our body, scrunched up shoulders, pain in our neck, pain in our lower back, digestive issues. All of those things can be individual stress response depending on the person. And then we talked about how we have to do something to actually distract our mind from the stressor at the time. So when you focus on a stress, then all of those hormones related to the stress response, including the rise in insulin level, including a rise in cortisol. So this is oftentimes one of the reasons why someone who has diabetes or pre-diabetes going through a very stressful time in their life, they can continue to be eating and moving and doing all of the things that they normally do, but their insulin level will be high. So I can remember times when I was young, my mom who had diabetes, her taking her blood glucose and is like, I don't know why my insulin is so high. In retrospect, I know that those were times where she was going through a lot of emotional and stress related to family, related to things like that, right? So that's a reason why the insulin level rises. Cortisol is your stress hormone, right? That is what one of the hormones that's initiated from the stress response. In this case, I'm always talking about insulin being the main domino hormone. But in the case of stress, insulin is actually the secondary domino hormone, right? Cortisol actually triggers insulin, and insulin rises, right? Remember, insulin is a fat storage hormone. The reason why your body wants to store fat when you're stressed is because it is actually easier than it to burn fat, and it can redirect energy to other parts of your body, particularly your muscles. Your body's like, okay, I may need to run, so I need to store. Don't do unnecessary things like burn fat. We might need to run, so we're going to need this energy into the muscles. So that's one of kind of like the theoretical conversations that's going on in your body when you're stressed, and why you would actually it would actually trigger insulin. One of the reasons. When you recognize that you have had your stress response all day and you're like, okay, this is not good for my body. How do I get rid of the physiological response to stress? The first thing that you want to do is, first we said we want to recognize. The second thing we want to do is we want to change the channel in our brain. So in my capacity as a master stress management coach, with Oasis and the Overwhelm, we have a technique that's called change the channel. In the change the channel technique, it's literally a technique to allow you to switch your mental thought process so that your stress response hormones can then regulate, right? So your brain is just like a TV channel, right? Just when you walk inside of the room and there's something on TV that you don't want to watch, you pick up the remote control and you change the channel. This, by the way, is a great technique that you can use for children. So as you know, I have 4 children. Alhamdulillah, they are all young adults. I'm not changing no Pampers. I ain't running around behind no kids. Those days is over. Anyway. My kids are all between the ages of 20 and 26. So they're much older now. But when I initially became a stress management coach, they were all younger. They were like probably in like their early teens and preteen. Well, they're all 2 years apart. They were like 8, 10, 12, 14, something like that. It was a technique that I immediately applied to the kids when they would get really upset. My brother is teasing me and screaming and yelling. You know how that goes. And so I would tell them like, so are you upset and you don't like what's going on? No, I don't like what's going on. And I actually had a broken remote control, and I would hand them the remote control. I'm like, just change the channel. You get to choose what you want to do with your brain. You get to choose whether or not you want to be upset with something that somebody said or somebody's teasing you. You make that choice. You have that power. So you just change the channel. And so they would, begrudgingly grab the remote. Of course, they would much have preferred that I beat their sibling, but I try not to do that too often. So they would begrudgingly grab the remote. And I'm like, okay, are you on a happy channel now? That can work probably until your kid is about 10. All right. So for young parents or parents of young children, that is actually a really effective technique. And it also teaches them from a very young age that they are in control. They are in control of their body. They are in control of their emotions. And that will actually give them a lot of what we call self-efficacy, right? Self-efficacy is your ability to control and your confidence for you to control your ability to do things, right? That's confidence. That is, hey, I may not know it, but I can learn it. Hey, I want to do this and I'm going to learn how to do it instead of looking at all of the obstacles in the way, right? All of those are methods of self-efficacy. So the change the channel technique certainly works really well for young kids. You just simply give them the control. You can do it as a physical thing. You can actually do it as just, make a piece of paper, whatever it is that you want to do. But give them the control to be able to change the emotion that they are feeling so that they can understand that they have the ability, right? Salima said she wanted me to repeat the technique because I froze on her. Did I freeze on other people? I was talking about the change the channel technique, which allows you to literally refocus your attention and you have control on how you respond to a situation. When my kids were younger, I would take a remote control, and when they were upset, I would say, they want you they want you to get their brother or sister because they're teasing them. You have control to decide whether or not you're going to be upset because somebody teased you. Would you like to change the channel, right? And so they would literally take the remote control. We had a broken remote control that I used as an extra, and they would have to decide what channel they wanted to be on, right? They can learn that as a kid, and we can also learn that as an adult. Right? As an adult, this is so, so important. One of the things that you will learn about me if you're just starting to join our tribe and just starting to tune in regularly is that I am a huge, huge proponent of you having control of your own self, right? I do not really take this person made me. I don't even take that from my kids. So I definitely don't take it from my clients, right? Nobody made you eat that piece of cake, right? Did somebody hold you down and stuff it in your mouth? It was a decision that you made. I'm just saying. So having the ability to decide and to control your own emotions is going to be such a game changer, right? For you to know that, you know what? I really have the ability to not get angry right now, right? As much as that bothers me, or I don't condone it, or I don't like it. Alaikum salam, Karima. Go back and do the good work that we need you to do, fighting on the front lines. May Allah keep you safe. Karima is a doctor, by the way, who's fighting in the front lines of Corona for people who are just joining us. She was joining us on Facebook. When we talk about stress and stress response, is actually all starts in the mind. So here is a good example about how stress all begins in the mind. All of the physiological responses of being afraid, right? Fear, heart starts pounding, you start sweating, your blood pressure goes up, you may have some digestive disturbances. And when you are excited because something is getting ready to happen, your heart starts pounding, you start sweating, your heart rate goes up, right? Sometimes you get butterflies in your tummy. They're the exact same physiological response. The only difference is what's going on in your mind. That is the only difference that's happening right there. Our mind is so incredibly powerful, right? So people will say things like, oh, I wish I liked exercising. You wish you liked exercising? That is just simply a mental shift. We have a saying inside of our coaching group, and I've shared it on social media before, that the new you is not coming. That she was here when you took your first bite of vegetables, when you sat down for your first 60 seconds of meditation, when you took your first step on your workout or your exercise. Like, the new you is a mental state. It is not the skinnier you. It is not the faster you. It is not the stronger you. The new you happens as soon as you make that decision, because it's a mental state. It is not a body. It is not a goal. If you want to change what you have as habits, if you want to become better at anything, whether it is exercise, your job, whatever it is, it starts and you start to change as soon as you take the first step, when you decide to change. The same thing happens when it comes to stress. You decide how you are going to respond to a situation. You make that decision. That's a mental decision. When you're inside of a stressful situation, it is about shifting the mentality around the situation, right? That saying that we hear often, life is not about what happens, life is about how you respond to what happens. That's about the way you think. That's about the mental shift that you have to make, right? And so that's a part of this change the channel technique. You're literally making a mental shift from, I am not going to focus on this. Like, even if you have to deal with it, even if it's a situation, your kid is flunking out of school, you're having marriage problems, you just found out that your friend has cancer, right? I'm using very dramatic situations. You do have to deal with it. But everything else continues to go on in life. And in order for you to be present in every part of your life, you have to deal with the stress response in its own compartment, in order, for a lack of better terms. And so you need to shift your thinking. Remember, we talked about yesterday how your brain does not have the ability to do two things at once. That's actually a myth. So our brain is much like a TV. It can go from one channel to the next. When we think we are multitasking, we're actually just shifting focus really quickly. We're not doing two things at once. If you are on social media and watching TV, you're not on social media and watching the television at the same time. You're going between TV and social media. Same thing with a book. TV on, you're reading a book. Oh yeah, I can do two things at once. No, you can do two things really well back to back and over and over. Right? So we want to shift our mind. So literally not focusing on the stressor and shifting your mind to something that is not a stressor. And it doesn't mean you got to sit down and imagine yourself on a beach and the waves are coming in. Da, da, da. All of that is extra. You can do that if you want, but it's literally as little as, you know what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to take 30 seconds to read every letter and spell every letter on this pen. P-E, and like literally just remove your mind from focusing on that and focusing on something else. That can happen, and you can do that in any way. You can read the Quran, you can dhikr, but it needs to be something that is engaging, right? So if you are reading the Quran and if you are dhikring, you are focusing on that. You're not, you know how sometimes we are physically doing ibadah, but mentally we are not doing ibadah. You know how we do. This is why, and Allah knows how we do. This is why Allah actually had to remind us in the Quran to approach our prayers with khushu. Allah is like, come pray and make sure you're focusing on your prayer. He literally had to tell us because He know how we do too. That's what we be doing. So in order for us to do that, it's literally how to train our brain not to multitask. So that's a new thing, right? That's a new thing that is, after all of these years of people telling us, oh, being a great multitasker is a great trait to have for a job. It's a great trait to have for an employee. Nope, it's actually not. Being able to focus is this trait that you want to develop. And that trait can be developed by 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day, you sitting down. And the reason why I say do it as a consistent practice is because when you are in a stressful situation, you want your brain to already be trained, right? We don't want to be like, oh my gosh, this horrible thing is happening. I can't stop stressing about it. Let me learn how to be mindful, or to meditate, or to practice breath work. Nope. Do it now. Do it now. I'm going to give you an oxymoron. If you got time to watch this video, then you got time to practice mindfulness. Just letting you know. Right? Yes, Salima, it is easier said than done. And that is why I tell people and I encourage you to practice now. 5 minutes, right? So if you have, oftentimes when even doing something like reading Quran, if you read Quran well, right, you can literally be reading Quran and thinking about something else. So it's not even as easy as saying, oh, go dhikr, oh, go read Quran, oh, go make 2 rakats, right? It's not even that easy, because you can pray and you're physically praying and your heart is not praying. Your mind is not praying. Only your body is going through the physical motions. May Allah give you barakah for that, but that is not going to achieve the goal, right? We pray and we, even in a stressful situation, and we cry to Allah, and in those tears, we're stressing about the situation, right? You're stressing about the situation. So it's just amplifying your stress response. Until we get to the point where we learn that we have to ask Allah and then just give it to Him. Because some of the problems that we have is we stress over because we want to worry and pray. But you can't do both. You know how we talked about that our mind cannot multitask? It cannot release it to Allah and worry about it at the same time. You got to do one or the other. That is how we reduce stress. Learning how to release it to Allah and then don't worry about it. Right? Don't worry. We can only control what we can control. Right? So when I say don't worry, it doesn't mean don't do anything. It means do what you can and let that outcome be what Allah decides it to be. But here's the trick around that. The trick around that is, or what makes it tricky, is you want to do what you can and do the best that you can. But it's hard for us to do that and not think that we have control. Because that goes into a whole nother, our trust in Allah and how we say we trust Him. We say He's Akbar, but then we act as if we are Akbar. And we are the ones that make the determination. And a lot of people have a hard time of putting all of their effort into something and then just leaving it to Allah. It's like, I'm going to do just a little bit because, Allah is going to take care of it. Don't really work that way. That's a whole nother. We're not talking about that today. We're talking about stress response. So we'll talk about that on another day. Talk about that on another day. What does it truly mean for us to trust in Allah? So when you're thinking about the thing that is causing you the stressor, it's important that you take time to remove it from your mind so that you can reduce the physiological stress response in your body. And that can be done, again, through reading Quran, but with khushu. Dhikring with khushu. Salah with khushu. But to practice those things outside of the normal prayer, right? To practice those things will actually help improve the prayer, right? So when I first started, I reminded everybody that you are in the right tribe if you believe that physical, mental, and spiritual well-being is intertwined. The weakness of one weakens them all, and the strengthening of one strengthens them all. This is an example of why we believe that in this tribe. So if you believe that, you're in the right place, because that is the entire platform of the Fit Muslimah social platform. Physical, mental, and spiritual well-being is intertwined, and this is a perfect example of that. When we strengthen our mind's ability to focus, it actually improves your khushu when you go make salat, right? Instead of you like, oh, I'm just going to practice when I pray. Physical well-being, right? That physical fitness, your mind getting physically fit, your mind getting mentally fit is going to improve your spiritual wellness. And this is a perfect example of that. So doing mindfulness outside of ibadah is going to increase, and for non-Muslims who may be watching, ibadah is worship. So doing mindfulness outside of worship is actually going to improve your worship. And what is mindfulness? For our purposes and our definition, mindfulness is to be completely present and focused. And it is much easier said than done, and it does take practice, but it is absolutely essential that we hone in on our ability to do this, and that it becomes a part of our daily lives. And it doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to be humming anything or dhickering anything or you imagining yourself at the beach. It's literally just removing the focus of your mind to a non-stressful event or thing. It can be as simple as, I'm feeling super stressed at work. I don't have the ability to go sit down someplace and just relax or to go lay down. So I'm literally going to sit at my desk, and I'm going to take a full 2 minutes, and I'm going to look at every word on this pen, and I'm going to spell it out. Right? How long will it take you? Right? This is called the inner jail pen. So if I sat here and I'm just like, okay, E, N, E, R, G, E, L, inner jail, L, like it's literally that easy. Another technique that besides using a pen is, I used to give my clients, I'm trying to see if I have one around here, little stones. Literally pick up a rock, small rock you can fit in your pocket, that you can fit in the palm of your hand, right? Nothing super big, something that you can close in your hand, and you use that as a technique of, it's called the one stone technique. You use that as a technique of bringing yourself present, right? That technique of bringing yourself present. You bring yourself present by literally touching the stone. Much like you can do, I guess you could technically do it with a pen, you can do it with anything, and you're literally just focusing only on that stone. You learn every intricate part of it. If it's round, if it's oval, does it have divots? You can, if you're someplace where you don't have the ability to actually look at it, you can literally just take your mind and you're literally trying to, I gotta stop saying literally, take the stone and you are rubbing each and every part of the stone and you're paying attention to every single perfection, imperfection, and feeling of the stone. Is it warm? Is it cold? How does it fit in your hand if you close your fist? Does it have a divot? Does it have a protrusion? All of those things. If you have the ability to, in addition to that, to take the stone and to actually look at it, every imperfection in the stone, understanding, you get to know your stone. but your brain has to be, and your mind has to be completely focused on that object. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a stone. Again, anything that can fit inside of your hand. When I used to teach yoga a long time ago, it's not that long ago, it's like 10 years ago. I got to stop saying a long time ago because that makes me feel old, and I'm not old. Okay. When I used to teach yoga about 10 years ago, I used to use the one stone technique, which is one of the techniques that I use inside of my master training coaching program. And I remember I saw a woman who attended my yoga class for a few months, and then I saw her like a year later at the grocery store, and she pulls her stone out her pocket with so much pride, and she's like, "Look, I still have my stone." She's like, "It's literally stopped me from having anxiety attacks." She's like, sometimes she suffered from social anxiety. And so she was saying that when she goes to a wedding, she went to a wedding and she took her stone with her, and it actually helped her be able to stay and enjoy herself at the wedding. So it is actually quite simple, but yet quite powerful technique for you to use. The other thing that I am going to, I want to end with one more suggestion, which is combining the spiritual and the physical together in a technique that will help you to relieve anxiety and to come focus in your mind. And and I'm definitely going to do a week just talking about the science of the sunnah. So if you've joined me for any other of my lives, you know that I have this term that is called the science of the sunnah. So that is when I read research and learn things that have been proven by science or has been explained by science, but we have already had it in Islam and already have been implementing it. It is the science of the sunnah that we've already been practicing. And so two things come together is dhikr and tapping, right? So there's a technique among therapists and coaches that teach clients who have anxiety, who suffer from chronic stress, is to literally physically tap the body to bring you present, right? So there's a whole technique behind it, but the simplicity of it, the most simple form of it, is bringing yourself present, sort of kind of like bringing yourself into your body, right? When you feel that anxiety and you're focusing on that feeling of whatever you're tapping on your body. This is a technique that you can use when you dhikr. So when we dhikr, we tap our fingers, right? But how often do we do this, right? We're doing like this, and it's all going super, super fast, and you're not paying attention. Bring it down, slow it down, and focus, and literally feel the tap. Subhanallah, 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 alhamdulillah, 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 right? When we are focused on it and then making that physical touch with our body, right? This is the best way. It's the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did it. Then it actually can bring them both together. That idea of tapping, bringing you present, and the dhikr that we do. So I'm going to leave you with that for food for thought, and hopefully one of those tips can help you. Again, I recommend that you practice before you are in a chronic stress state so that you're better able to apply it when you need it. All right, so until tomorrow we'll talk about breath work and how to do it and what it does. So join me Monday through Thursdays, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on any of my Fit Muslimah platforms, and I will speak to you then. All right? Assalamu alaikum.